Welcome back. The resettlement of IDPs is happening slowly but surely. They are being given compensation packages and are gradually starting to rebuild their lives once again. However, their needs are still great in terms of generating income and starting up viable businesses. This promises to be a long process and one they should not have to go through on their own. Shifan spoke with Dr. Muttukrishna Sarvananthan of the Point Pedro Institute to find out how authorities should be further assisting these new returnees.
It's 1 year since the war came to an end, and development is seen as the way forward, and we've already seen the government has implemented projects in the North and East. But what difference can we see in the North and East as a result of these projects?
I think that this is somewhat debated all around. Of course, I think as an immediate step, development is important. I mean, this is the same argument LTT argued during the ceasefire time, before they go into talks on substantial political issues for resolving the conflict, long-term resolution of the conflict. They would like the restoration of livelihoods, rehabilitation, resettlement of people back to their places of origin, and of course, medium-term development. So this is the same kind of argument the government is undertaking now. I mean, in principle, there is nothing wrong with that. But there is a serious problem. People are not consulted much. The representatives of the people, whether parliamentary members, the municipal council members, or the provincial council members in the East, for example, are not adequately consulted on this. Everything is heavily centralized by the so-called, at least until the elections, by the so-called presidential task force for the North, headed by Basil Rajapaksa.
But what then was the purpose of the elections and appointing local bodies?
I don't think they have the capacity or the resources to take decisions what their priorities are, or to implement anything they want. It's still heavily concentrated in the central government. Even within the central government, it's just one presidential task force which monopolizes the whole process.
What do you think are the most pressing concerns right now? Is it just development, but are there also other needs which need to be addressed hand in hand?
Okay, the first thing is development per se is not that wrong, or not that bad, but more authority should be given to the hands of the people or the local authorities to take decisions what they want to do, etc. The second thing is still accessibility to the North beyond Vaunia is very much restricted. Not only for media or any others, but foreign diaspora people and other foreigners, foreign tourists, and even commercial cargo vehicles like lorries have to seek Ministry of Defence clearance to take their goods to Jaffna or the Vanni. So these are basic hindrances still pending to be removed. Other thing, recently there has been upsurge, particularly in Jaffna Peninsula, there has been upsurge in kidnapping for ransom, youths or even teenagers, school children. So this has created the problem of law and order.
Let's talk about IDPs, whom we are not talking about so much now in the media as well. What are your views of the resettlement efforts so far?
Whoever wished to go back has been allowed by the government. So on the score, I don't blame the government or anybody else for letting the people go, but the assistance to them has been inadequate, of course. But again, I think more than assistance, they should be given, the people who have returned should be given freedom to undertake their economic activities without much competition or interference from the government side or the security forces side. You know, this kind of enabling environment could be created for individuals and private enterprises to flourish, you know, and that's the primary concern of the people who have gone back there.
What about the question of a political solution? Is it no longer a necessity, or should it go hand in hand with reconstruction and development?
No, I think that there is a necessity in the long term and even perhaps in the medium term as well. Immediate term, of course, immediate term, on the short run, people are much interested in restoration of their livelihoods, getting back to their normal life. That was reflected in the apathy at the election time, where the voter turnout at the elections were very low, especially in the North, but also some extent in the East. So people are not much interested perhaps at the moment for going into big issues. But of course, now that the new parliament has been elected, new members of parliament have been elected from those regions. So I think government also should parallelly go into the substantive issues of resolution of the political conflict which has been going on for 30 years or more.
And finally, all processes in taking the country forward should involve stakeholders and all stakeholders. And I would like to ask you, what about the role of the diaspora? Do they have a role in this?
As regards the political process, I think diaspora has very limited role to play. Now that they have foregone, most of them, the Sri Lankan citizenship, they would have got some other citizenship, and their own personal circumstances are different. Their children or grandchildren would have been born in those countries wherever they are. So they would have very little ground level experience or to really understand the needs of the long-term political needs of the people. I think that should by and large rest with the people who remain within the country, not only in the northeast but also the rest of the country. In the substantive issues of political issues, I think diaspora has very limited role, but as I mentioned, for immediate and even medium long-term kind of economic restoration, economic development issues, diaspora has a very big role to play, and that source should be tapped properly by the government, not only by the government but even by the Tamil politicians from different political parties or other minority political parties, including Muslim diaspora, etc.